and I'm prepared to consider committing British forces on the ground alongside others if there is a lasting peace agreement.
Now it's emerged that Olaf Scholz stormed out of a meeting with European leaders and is refusing to put troops in...
It was very interesting that Starmer went off yesterday to Paris at a European leaders meeting and found absolute resistance to the idea of sending troops from the poles, and indeed...
We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers, and we couldn't have done it without you. Thank you for your incredible support. To celebrate, we're giving away £1,000 to 10 lucky winners, £100 each. Here's how to enter. Subscribe to our channel. Like this post. Drop your postcode in the comments. Once we hit 10,000 subscribers, we'll randomly select the winners. Don't miss your chance to be part of the £1,000 giveaway. Start now, and it could be you. Something just happened that left European leaders in shock. A high-stakes summit in Paris was supposed to show unity, but instead, it ended in chaos. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz didn't just disagree with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, he walked out. Why? Because Starmer pushed a bold, some say reckless, idea, sending European peacekeeping troops to Ukraine. Scholz was furious. He called it premature and highly inappropriate. Other leaders were stunned as tensions in the room skyrocketed. This wasn't just a disagreement, it was a full-blown clash between two of Europe's most powerful leaders. And the fallout? It could change everything.
My friends, you're very, very welcome here at Chequers. I think we've made real progress. The Trinity House Agreement has been signed, and of course we've reached agreement on migration. So thank you for that leadership.
The Paris summit was supposed to be a show of strength and unity among European leaders. Instead, it exposed deep cracks. What started as a routine high-level meeting quickly turned tense when UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer presented his plan, a European-led peacekeeping force in Ukraine. Starmer argued that Europe could no longer rely on the United States to handle security in the region. With shifting US priorities, he said European nations must take responsibility for their own defense. He pushed the idea that deploying European troops could help enforce a future ceasefire and bring stability. But not everyone saw it that way. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz was the first to push back, hard. He dismissed the proposal outright, calling it reckless and completely premature. Poland and Spain quickly sided with him, warning that such a move could escalate the situation rather than ease tensions. Scholz made it clear Germany would not support any military commitments without a concrete peace deal in place.
Imagine a UK politician standing in front of a row of the Union flags with that stirring music and that clear, unequivocal message to anybody who's considering entering the UK illegally. Wouldn't you go, that's the kind of politician I want?
Well, you know,
that's the messaging I want sent.
But if we did it right, we'd have a completely different kind of music. It would be much calmer because somebody would say, it's a bit aggressive, you know, that music. So let's play little music, softer music. And what you say is, if you come to this country illegally, you will be removed. Unless, of course, your son doesn't like the chicken nuggets that they make in his home.
The disagreement wasn't just a quiet policy debate, it was heated. Scholz's frustration was visible. Other leaders in the room were caught off guard by the intensity of the exchange. The divide between European nations was suddenly on full display, raising serious doubts about their ability to act together on Ukraine. By the end of the discussion, Scholz had had enough. He left the summit early, making it clear that Germany would not be pressured into a military plan it didn't support. His departure sent a strong message: Europe is nowhere near a united front when it comes to Ukraine. And this debate is far from over. The Paris summit didn't just highlight disagreements, it put a spotlight on a growing divide within Europe over how to handle the war in Ukraine. While some countries are willing to consider new security measures, others are shutting the door completely.
Starmer has been humiliated today as the German Chancellor rejected his plans for a Ukraine peace deal. Keir Starmer, of course, suggested this week that we should send troops to Ukraine as part of a peace deal, and suggested that the EU followed suit. Well, while in a meeting regarding this today, it is reported that German Chancellor Olaf Scholz stormed out following the suggestion. I mean, how embarrassing for Keir Starmer. He has done nothing but suck up to the EU for years and years, even going as far as suggesting that there should be a second referendum in the UK. And now he has been shunned on such an important
The UK, France, and Sweden signalled they were open to discussions about deploying European peacekeeping troops in Ukraine. Their argument? With US foreign policy shifting, Europe needs to step up. They believe a peacekeeping force could help stabilize the region if a ceasefire is ever reached. But Germany, Poland, and Spain weren't having it. They immediately dismissed the idea, calling it both premature and dangerous. Their stance is clear: no troops should be deployed until a formal peace deal is in place. Scholz, in particular, was vocal. He warned that even discussing European troop deployments could inflame tensions and complicate ongoing diplomatic efforts. The divide became even more obvious when Scholz left the summit early. His exit wasn't just about disagreement, it was a statement. It showed just how fractured Europe is when it comes to Ukraine. Some leaders want to take action now, while others fear making the situation worse. This split raises serious questions. Can Europe find common ground on Ukraine? Or will these divisions grow deeper? Without a unified strategy, how will they respond if the war drags on? One thing is clear: the debate over Europe's role in Ukraine isn't just heating up, it's reaching a breaking point.
There with a little backpack on, can't you? Come on, Yvette, we're going to miss the Eurostar. He went off to Brussels to say he wanted closer relations with the EU, and he made it clear how much he loved being there.
Real pleasure to be here today for these sets of meetings that we have this afternoon. I firmly believe that the British public wants a return to pragmatic, sensible leadership when it comes to dealing with our closest neighbours.
He went off to Germany to meet Olaf Scholz and tell him that he's a great mate and Britain wants to be part of his little club again.
A new UK-Germany treaty, a once-in-a-generation chance to deliver for working people in Britain and in Germany. A new agreement, a testament to the depth and potential of our relationship.
He even had his best mate Olaf round to Chequers 2 weeks ago and sucked up.
The Ukraine war is unfolding, and this development could change everything. While European leaders were clashing in Paris, reports surfaced of high-level US officials secretly meeting with Russian diplomats in Saudi Arabia. The goal? Quietly discussing an end to the war. But there's one major problem: Ukraine wasn't invited. This revelation has sent shockwaves through Kiev. If these talks are real, it means Western powers might be negotiating a settlement without Ukraine's direct involvement. That's exactly what President Volodymyr Zelensky has feared for months. He has repeatedly warned that Ukraine will not accept any peace deal that excludes them from the table. The US delegation, reportedly led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, met with top Russian officials, including Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and Vladimir Putin's advisor Yuri Ushakov. Russian sources claimed the discussions were strictly bilateral, focused on U.S.-Russia relations. But many suspect Ukraine was at the center of the conversation. If these secret meetings continue, it raises an urgent question: is the West starting to sideline Ukraine in its own war? And if so, what does that mean for the future of the conflict?
The Ukraine and solve all their problems, whereas Trump is having the real meetings over in Saudi Arabia with Sergei Lavrov, who's a ghastly individual, who's the Russian foreign minister, and old Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State.
Now, forgive me for pointing out the obvious. The war in Ukraine is ghastly and dreadful, and I'm sure it would be great if it could be brought to a halt. But you know what? Donald Trump is rendering all these European leaders as utterly irrelevant.
Irrelevant and useless, you don't need it. What are they for?
He's sidestepping everybody on the global political scale. He's outmanoeuvring everyone. They can't second-guess what he's going to do next. And look at what he has done.
And they can't get into the room where where all the interesting stuff is happening.
Where was Starmer and Scholz and all those other European leaders who were having a huge whinge last week? Where were they in terms of getting the conversation about Ukraine?
Keir Starmer's peacekeeping plan isn't just causing waves in Europe, it's igniting a fierce debate at home. The idea of sending European troops into Ukraine has sparked a political storm in the UK, with critics questioning whether Britain is about to make a dangerous move without full international backing. The biggest concern? Whether the UK would act unilaterally if Europe fails to agree. Some MPs warn that committing British forces without a clear European consensus could be reckless, potentially dragging the UK into a volatile situation with no exit strategy. Others argue that Starmer's push for a stronger European role in Ukraine is necessary, especially with uncertainty over America's long-term commitment to the region. To calm the backlash, Transport Secretary Heidi Alexander stepped in, assuring that Parliament will be consulted before any British troops are deployed. However, her words left room for interpretation. She acknowledged that discussions are in the very early stages and didn't fully rule out the possibility of Britain moving forward, even if European allies hesitate. Government officials insist that any military action must be coordinated with European partners and the US. However, after Starmer's tense exchange with Germany's Olaf Scholz, many are questioning whether such coordination is even possible.
I mean, is it any wonder? Even the EU think this is a terrible idea. And this is the EU that we're talking about here. Oh dear, it's all going wrong for Starmer and Labour, isn't it? Not a good look at all. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. Is this humiliating for Keir Starmer?
With Starmer pushing for European leadership and key allies like Germany slamming the brakes, the UK now faces a major decision. Will Britain take a leadership role in Ukraine's security, or will political divisions at home and abroad force it to back down? Europe is at a crossroads, and the cracks are widening. The war in Ukraine has exposed deep divisions among European leaders, making it clear that unity is slipping away. Some want immediate action, while others warn that rushing into decisions could backfire. The biggest fear? That these disagreements will weaken diplomatic efforts. Germany refuses to commit troops. The UK is pushing for European leadership. And behind closed doors, the US is secretly negotiating with Russia without Ukraine at the table.
What are we talking about?
They just kept, well, Starmer just wanted to keep giving them money. You know,
Yeah.
$3 billion a year he's pledged.
Yeah, but were those politicians, and were we talking about peace talks for Ukraine and Russia 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago? No, there was no talk of it. Donald Trump comes into power, starts picking up the phone, shakes up the whole shebang, points out the irrelevance and the weakness and the non-existent kind of political nous of all these European leaders, and suddenly people are being brought to tables. The idea of ceasefires or peace is being discussed, and that has to be a good...
With Washington taking its own path and Europe unable to agree on a strategy, Ukraine's future is more uncertain than ever. President Zelensky has made one thing clear: Ukraine will not accept a deal made behind its back. But will Kiev have any real say in what happens next, or will global powers make those decisions for them? That's the question no one seems ready to answer. Europe is more divided than ever, and Ukraine's fate hangs in the balance. Starmer's peacekeeping plan has sparked tensions. Scholz's dramatic exit has exposed cracks among allies. And secret US-Russia talks raise fears that decisions could be made without Ukraine's input. The question now is simple: who will shape Ukraine's future, Kiev or global powers?
In this moment, we have to recognise the new era that we are in, not cling hopelessly to the comforts of the past. It's time for us to take responsibility for our security, for our continent. And I've been clear today, Britain will take a leading responsibility.
So much uncertainty, but one thing is clear: this story is far from over. Will European leaders find common ground, or will divisions deepen? Will the UK push forward with its plan or back down under pressure? And most importantly, what will Ukraine do next? We'll be following every twist and turn, so make sure you don't miss out. Like, share, and comment below. What do you think is the right move for Europe? Should peacekeepers be sent in, or is it too risky? Stay tuned, and we'll keep you updated as the situation unfolds. If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe to our channel. You can watch more videos from us here.